final show for 10 days. Regular show. I will be on vacation next week. So next week you will have special sports wrap programming. Fun list shows for you. Top 5 sports stories of 2026 so far. Top 5 performances of the 2025-2026 season so far. And we'll also have the top 5 NBA stories of the regular season. What got us excited about the NBA. Those coming up next week. Special programming for you while I am out recharging the battery. Be going on a cruise. And we'll still have Sports Wrap Shorts up on the YouTube channel. And I will still be posting content to our social media platforms on YouTube, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, Sports Wrap Jason Page. So we will still have content going out, but the Monday through Friday daily version of the show will not be on in the way that it usually is. So just an update on that. All right. We've got a big show today. Robert Littall is here, founder of Black Sports Online, joins us every Friday and hangs out with me. We'll get into the draft. We'll get into the NBA stuff with him as well. With the playoffs, a couple of teams that are down 2-1 that I don't think we expected to be down 2-1. We'll get into that. Some odds and ends later in the show. Tino Patino is here to talk about NASCAR, but we start things out as we always do on this Friday. It's time for the big story. And the big story is presented by our friends at Colossus Fantasy. Pick'em games, peer-to-peer games. They have it all. Go and check them out. Download the app. And when you make that first deposit, use my promo code SPORTSWRAP and get yourself a sweet deposit bonus. On a $10 deposit, you get a $40 bonus. On a $20 deposit, you get an $80 bonus. You put in $20, you get $100 total. What's better than that? Download the app and go and play Colossus Fantasy here on the show. Happy to have them with us. All right, to the draft. And look, we all knew that the number one pick was going to be this guy. Fernando Mendoza, taken by the Las Vegas Raiders, number 1. And you heard me yesterday on the show say, this is all a big dog and pony show. And everybody thinks they know what's going to happen. And if you surround a guy with this player and that coach, as I said yesterday on the show, nobody knows. It's all a crapshoot, with the exception of a handful of guys. And quite often it's not quarterbacks, because great quarterbacks who win Heismans don't always translate to great NFL quarterbacks. Some do, some don't. In fact, it's just as simple as that. And when I look at this NFL draft, there's a handful of guys that a lot of the prognosticators will tell you were can't-miss guys, and I agree with that. A lot of them are in the receiving game. Got a couple of great edge rushers, and you saw a bunch of those guys go off the board last night, and that's great. What bothers me, and I know it's going to sound like I'm picking on Fernando Mendoza, and I will repeat and reiterate something I have said over and over again. I'm rooting for Fernando Mendoza to succeed in the NFL. I live in Las Vegas. Yes, we're a national show, but I live in Las Vegas. I don't want a crappy football team here. I want to see a good football team. I'm a transplant. I've only been here a couple of years, but I want to see a good NFL team in Las Vegas. I want something I can get excited to go and watch, instead of staying home every Sunday and watching games on TV because the team in town isn't that good. But with all that being said, the nature and how choreographed all of this was, with him at home, with his family, and after he's drafted, he's got to go around and hug each person like he didn't know he was going number 1, and like his family and friends haven't been sitting there for hours eating hors d'oeuvres and having drinks while they wait for him to be drafted number 1. I don't need the show. I don't need the show. What I need is Fernando Mendoza to go out, take this job by the horns, if I'm a Raiders fan, and be really good in his rookie year. Doesn't mean winning a ton of games, because it's all dependent on what you put around him. It's the first year, new head coach, new system, all of that stuff. But I don't need the show. I don't need it. I don't need the every other word mentioning God. I don't need it. Okay? I need you to get your ass to Vegas, get into rookie training camp and rookie off-season workouts, bust your ass, and be a great NFL quarterback as a guy that won a national championship and won a Heisman. That's what I need. I don't need the rest. I don't need the guy's going to be a great politician someday. He can talk. Man, can he talk. But I don't need any of that. I don't care if you're dumb as a box of rocks. If you can go out there and sling it and win football games and make average or slightly above average receivers look great and get great contributions from the guys on your roster that are really talented, that's what I need from Fernando Mendoza. I don't need all the smiling. Everything's great. I can't wait to go to Las Vegas. I don't need the words. I need action. Fans in Las Vegas, and before that, fans in Oakland, they've all waited long enough. I don't need all the pomp and circumstance and the zillion people at your house for the party. I hope he wins. I really do. But this thing has got fraud written all over it. When people go out of their way to polish something and give you a presentation of something, I didn't get any of this with Joe Burrow. I didn't need any of that. I didn't get any of that. And there's countless other guys that have succeeded. I didn't need all this. I'm telling you, it sounds like I'm not meaning to pick on the kid. I'm really not. I want him to succeed. But everything about this says fraud. It just screams fraudulent to me. Because when people go out of their way to make something look so great, what winds up happening? How many times does it wind up actually being that great or as good as advertised? You know the answer. And so do I. I won't be fooled. We're coming back. Welcome back to this Friday edition of the show. Fridays now are all about this guy. Hey. One and only Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online.
I don't know if he's going to have me back after
last Friday. Come on. I wouldn't even think. I
bombed the show, and that was the end of it.
Wouldn't even think twice. My ride or die. Robert Littal hanging out with us on the show. Founder of Black Sports Online. Author of the soon-to-be-released book later this year. He's got the book coming out, which I can't wait. We've talked about it. Did you say, when could people pre-order that, by the way?
It'll be right at the beginning of football season, so around August, September.
All right, very cool. Look forward to talking about that more as we get closer to it. All right, Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online. I'm sure you enjoyed the draft last night, as we all did. Look, to nobody's surprise, Fernando Mendoza is the top overall pick and goes to the Raiders. And can I be that guy?
Oh.
On a number of levels, I'm going to be that guy. It's just so the whole thing is so choreographed and so scripted. And again, this WWE world we live in, where everything is just so scripted, and you see him sitting there on the couch, and he's got to go and shake hands and hug each member of the family as he walks around. You've been there for how long with your family? You've got to do that. Why? Just because the cameras are there? Can I vent about that for just a moment? Like, am I wrong? Am I wrong to is it wrong that bothers me as much as it does?
This, are you going to go sit on your patio and tell the kids to get off
your
lawn?
Come on, though. Really? Does it have to be that fake? Because to me, here's why.
Okay.
Because to me, it feeds in to this goody two shoes Fernando Mendoza thing, and it.
A lot of people see it as inauthentic. Now,
yes.
Only he knows if it's true or not. But I think with a lot of number one picks or first round quarterbacks. You can't fake your way, I think, in the NFL locker room. Maybe be able to get away with that in college, but these are grown men, in the NFL. And if it's fake and if it's inauthentic and he doesn't have the goods, it's going to be exposed fairly quickly, especially with the Raiders, who've been bad for such a long period of time. You don't really have a lot of time, to show that you have the goods or not. Yeah, I mean, I think he's not for everyone. I mean, but I'll be honest, I'd rather, someone, like him than some of the other stuff that we get from some of these players. I'm curious. It seems like almost more of a social experiment as much as a on the field experiment with him.
Yeah, man, it is going to be fascinating with a capital F to watch how he assimilates. I've lived here for
like Dwight Howard. Like he gets to Vegas and, everything. That's, 10 years later, we're talking about certain things that
you couldn't imagine talking about. Yeah. People can go look up Dwight Howard if you want to go and find those out, or go to Black Sports Online. I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm sure it's buried somewhere in your site. Some of the Dwight Howard stuff. I mean, Kirk Cousins mentoring him is obviously going to be a good thing.
I really don't.
You don't think Kirk Cousins is going to mentor him?
No, Kirk wants to play. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be like an a-hole to him or anything, but, if he asks a question, I think Kirk's going to answer. But I think Kirk's main focus is this is probably it for Kirk, and he wants to play. And
well, if this was it for Kurt, why do you go to Las Vegas where they're drafting this kid number one and he's going to be the starter?
I think finally Kurt didn't have a lot of options, especially where he wanted to get some guaranteed money.
Couldn't go to Arizona? You're telling me the Cardinals?
I don't think Kurt had a lot of options. I think they were the option, and he said, this kid is coming in, and he's 50-50 if he's going to be good or not, and I have a good shot here. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to be buddy-buddy. I don't think they'll be golfing together.
That'll be interesting. See, I thought I was anticipating that he would be a better sort of mentor.
No, I mean, think about it. Even Joe Flacco at his age is like, I should have started over all these kids. Like the real starters that have been starters and successful throughout their career, they don't like the backup role. They take it to stay in the league, but they always feel that they're the man.
Yeah, and it will be a fascinating watch to see how he assimilates and how he adjusts to being in a city like Las Vegas, and having the right people around him obviously will make such a big difference in that. I am on the record as saying I don't think he's going to be all that. I don't think he's the savior of this franchise. I think this team needs a lot more. I don't necessarily believe he's the guy that's going to take average or mediocre talent and elevate it to a level that it needs to be in order for the Raiders to be good. Especially in the division that they're in. Look, I hope I'm wrong because I live in Las Vegas. I want the Raiders to be good. Our friends watching on Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network here in Vegas. I'm rooting for them. I just have to be honest and say what I think. And what I think is he's not as good, or I don't think he's as good as he needs to be to take a franchise that's been as bad as long as this franchise has been bad and make it what they hope he can make.
Well, in most drafts, he's a bottom tier first rounder, maybe second rounder. It just luck of the draw, right here. Now, the good news for him is I always say that playing quarterback is probably 75% neck up.
Yeah,
you don't have to be the most athletic. Yep. You don't have to be it helps if you look like Josh Allen, or you can do things that Lamar Jackson can do, or Caleb Williams. That definitely helps. But in the end, it's your Tom Brady always says your processing, how you see the field, how you get the ball out, et cetera, et cetera. He seems to have those type of qualities. Now, like you said, it has to be cultivated, and is Vegas the best place for that? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we will. I have shorted myself on time in this segment to talk about Ty Simpson, because that is the other big story about this opening round of the draft, was Ty Simpson going number 13 to the Rams. So I will carry that a little into the next segment. But real quick, your initial thoughts when you saw him getting drafted as high as he did and the Rams being the team to do it.
Yeah, I assume that maybe they thought somebody was in the first round and they only had one pick would take him and they wouldn't have a chance to get back in at it. It seems like they want him to be the succession plan for Matthew Stafford. But, the coach, McVay seemed that thrilled about it. I don't know if he had to be talked into this. And I think when you're a coach, you want a guy in the first round that can play ASAP, not somebody that may not play for 2 or 3 years, even though we've seen that work, before with teams. But, it seemed high, for him. But it seems like that was their plan.
All right, we're going to come back. There's more on draft day to get to. The Mike Vrabel Dianna Russini story took another interesting twist yesterday. That's next. Welcome back to this Friday edition of the show. Coming up in 10 minutes, the NBA playoffs. A couple of interesting twists and turns in the NBA playoffs on Thursday night. Couple of teams going down 2-1. Which one's in more trouble? We'll ask Robert Littal about that. I'll give my thoughts as well. Speaking of Robert Littal, hanging out with us now on Fridays here on the show for the full show. Just to close the book on Simpson, do you ultimately, and again, we say this all the time in sports and life, where you're born matters. Some guys are born on third base. Some guys are born, sitting in the dugout and can't even get on the bases. Fernando Mendoza is born into an organization that has been, let's just be honest about it. It has been dysfunctional with a capital D for a long time. A generation, essentially. He wasn't even born the last time they won a playoff game. I mean, think about that for a second. Let that sit in, marinate in that for a moment. As my friend Anita Marks used to say.
I've always said this. It's not when you're drafted, it's where you're drafted to. That's way more important, especially in the first round. I mean, nobody likes to lose, a couple of $1 million, up or down. But if you're Ty Simpson and say Fernando Mendoza, right? I mean, yeah, there's this difference between 1 and 13 money wise. But, assuming McVay stays, there throughout his tenure, he's in a much better position long term to succeed. And he's still getting paid without actually having to do anything for maybe a year or two. And look, Matthew Stafford's also like 150 years old. So he's only one snap away from being the quarterback on a team that think they can win a Super Bowl. He was 13. But to me, that's better than being number one.
Yep, it really does. It matters what position you're put in. So I asked that question. I mentioned that just to ask this real quick. Who winds up having the better? And I know it's an impossible question to ask. Yeah. And we're sitting here today. I'm not going to hold you to it and make fun of you 5 years from now. If
not Mel Kiper.
No, I'm not going to. But I mean, I feel like Simpson's set up better to succeed. I really do.
I'll be honest with you. There's been quarterbacks that haven't started a lot in college normally aren't very good in the NFL. Fernando Mendoza seems to have more of the makeup of a guy that's going to hang around for longer. He's going to be Derek Carr. He's going to be Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan on the high end side. So I think Mendoza will have a longer career. I think Simpson would have the greater chance of catching lightning in the bottle and being an elite, type of guy, even though the history says that probably won't happen.
All right. Move to the Dianna Russini story that has really captivated us, especially those of us in the media that cover this stuff for a living. With Dianna Russini and the latest twists and turns in this story. Mike Vrabel holding another press conference yesterday because apparently one wasn't enough. He has to go out in front of the media again and basically say the same thing he said 2 days ago to the media just prior to the draft. There's these new photos that came out that change this story that now basically make it a 6-year story as opposed to a story that just took place recently, talking about their relationship. I always thought Vrabel would survive this. I was 100% sure. Now I'm like 60% sure he survives this story because the way it's carried on and his credibility being shattered the way it has, the Russini part of it we've discussed. She's a friend of mine, so I've discussed it at length. Does he survive this? Is there a chance he doesn't make it through this?
I think if it wasn't the Patriots, possibly. For Bob Kraft to pull the trigger on that would show a high level of hypocrisy, considering some of the things that Bob Kraft.
Would hypocrisy shock you, though?
No. But Bob Kraft doesn't seem like the type of guy that would hold something like that 100% behind Mike Vrabel. Also, we have to take this into consideration. If he had went 5-12 last year, he'd probably already be gone. But the fact that he took them to the Super Bowl with a second-year quarterback after Tom Brady has left, I think that gives him a lot longer leash than maybe some other coaches. The NFL aren't involved as well, so they don't have to worry about that. The one thing I say is, listen, and they teach us this in journalism school all the time, probably day one. The cover-up is bigger than the crime. They could have killed this at the beginning, just being honest about whatever was happening. It would have been bad. It would have hurt. But she probably still has her job, and he probably doesn't have to go to Tiger Woods counseling. If you just
which apparently is only available on day 3 of the draft on a Saturday, Robert, because that's the only day you can go to counseling.
But it happens all the time. They had to know that it was a possibility, at least, that other things existed. And when you know that, and then you come out and say, "Oh, that's laughable." You come out and say, "Oh no, I was on a hiking trip." They panic basically, and they wouldn't be the first, and they won't be the last. But it's a lesson. If you get caught, just own up and keep it moving.
I don't know which crisis communications people they hired, but they should get their money back.
Yeah,
they should.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was like Ari Fleischer's communications firm.
I might not have been honest with them, And
yes,
they, if you get a crisis communication person or a manager or a fixer or whatever, the Lincoln lawyer, you got to be honest with your lawyer. If you murdered somebody, tell them you murdered them, and then let them figure out how to get you off. I learned that. My wife is a lawyer. She said if they don't tell us what they actually did, we can't defend them, properly, or whatever it is. So the number one thing she says, you have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly, because the prosecution always, in this case, the media always finds out.
By the way, Dianna Russini deleted her X account yesterday while Vrabel was giving that statement like a half hour before the draft. The timing of that is not lost or should not be lost. He's thrown
under the bus. We have to be honest. She said, even in her resignation, she still was talking very strongly as if this was nothing. And then he comes out there looking like a sad puppy dog. And Mike Vrabel's not a sad puppy dog. He's someone big, strong, like he said. And he came out there like a sad puppy dog, and I didn't do the right thing, and I got to be a better man, and I'm going to go to time, and it threw her under the bus. Let's just put it like that.
Yes, he has. And what happens to her, long term, obviously remains to be seen. We're coming back. We're talking about the NBA playoffs next. Tino Patino joins us in 10 minutes. Preview this weekend's Jack Link's 500 NASCAR event at Talladega, where it's always wild. Talladega, just throw a bunch of names in a hat, pull one out, you could have your winner. Because there's going to be madness at Talladega. Always one of the more fun stops on the NASCAR circuit. One more segment with Robert Littal. Hangs out with us on the show now on Fridays, a staple of the show, founder of Black Sports Online. So the Knicks and Nuggets both drop Game 3 on Thursday night. They're down 2-1 in those series. I ask you, Robert Littal, of the two teams, which is in greater peril to you of not advancing to the conference semifinals? Would it be the Knicks or the T-Wolves?
Probably the Nuggets.
Sorry, Knicks or Nuggets.
Gordon.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nuggets went down 2-1. They got blown out last night. Knicks lost a close one. Let me fix myself here.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
There we go.
Probably, like I said, probably the Nuggets. Because of Aaron Gordon. And like you said, the Knicks was in a back and forth game that could have went either way. That looks like a series that'll probably go 6 or 7, but I wouldn't be overly concerned if I was a Knicks fan. I would be overly concerned if I was a Nuggets fan. Jokic is not playing well. They're not shooting, very well. They're not defending, very well. It's a lot of things that aren't going well from them right now. Now, granted, it's the playoffs. You got to flush the game that they had last night. They can come back and win game 2, and then it's literally a best 2 out of 3 with them having 2 home games. But they have to get it together because they basically have had one quarter where they've shot the ball well, and for the other 11, if my math is right, they have not looked like the offensive team that we saw during the regular season.
They're getting pushed around. They're getting bullied badly in that series. Like, there is a toughness issue that has come to the forefront in that series where you've got guys on the T-Wolves calling them out and basically punking them out there on the court. And I don't see the fight, which has been what's most surprising from a team with a championship pedigree. That's what's most stunning to me, is just how much the T-Wolves have imposed their will physically as much as mentally in this series. It just surprises me for a Nuggets team that, we're talking, it's just a couple of years removed from a championship, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, 2 of the players, we also had to talk about Peyton Watson, are their more fiery type of guys. And they're also 2 of their most athletic type of guys. Mm-hmm. So, their team kind of works, like it's a moving machine, like most teams, and you take a part out and it can kind of screw up the entire thing. And they got away with it for the most part, but that's the regular season. This is the playoff. It's very difficult unless you have a team like Oklahoma City that has like 30 guys that can be interchangeable. There's not, I love Spencer Jones, but he's not Aaron Gordon. I love Julian Stratton, but he's not Peyton Watson. The guys that they're, trying to interchange, aren't working. Now, this, in my mind, when you come to a game like game 4, and it's for the Knicks as well, Jokic, Brunson, Cat, Jamal Murray, they gotta take over the game. They gotta wheel it, as you say, because you can't go down, 3-1 in the first round of the playoffs. So, like we said, we'll see if these teams have that fight in them, because they now are the desperate teams.
And if they go out in the opening round of the playoffs, I will be fascinated to watch what happens with that Nuggets team in the offseason, potential changes that they're going to have to make, and take a long, hard look in the mirror. As for the Knicks, I will tell you what is most troubling for me, and I will continue to say this, is the way that, for all the wonderful things he does on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Brunson is getting abused on the defensive end. I mean, the Hawks are picking on him. And Grimes on the court late in that game last night, and they were picking on him as well. The Hawks present matchup problems that the Knicks simply have not, and Mike Brown has not found an answer for through especially the last 2 games of this series, Robert.
Yeah, the playoffs exposes your weaknesses on a much, much brighter scale than the day-to-day regular season, where you can get away with that against lesser teams. And here's the thing, in the playoffs, teams will keep doing it until you stop it. And that's on coaching. They have to figure, like you talk about, Rudy Gobert is bothering Jokic. That's on David Adelman to figure out a better way. They're harassing it. And look, if he got to get a technical or clothesline a ref to get some more calls, he has to do it. Same thing with Mike Brown. They brought him in because they assumed he was a better coach than what they had before in regards to them running them into the ground. And now he has to prove it, in game 4.
Kurt Heelan thinks Mike Brown could be out if the Knicks go out early in these playoffs. And at first blush, I'm like, no, the Knicks aren't the type of team that's going to fire a guy after one season. And they really haven't been that sort of team. But with Billy Donovan sitting out there, with Dan Hurley right up the street, who would take the job in 5 minutes if it was offered to him sitting up the street, now, if the Knicks went out in the first round, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it depends on who. Like you said, if they put out some feelers.
Doc Rivers?
Well, maybe not Doc Rivers.
Why?
I mean,
former Knick player? Would it shock you? Doc only takes things that are ready to win.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you see what he did to the Milwaukee when they was ready to win.
Well, it was questionable whether they were ready to win.
Let Doc go back to doing what he does best right now, and that's, let's get him on one of these announced teams, because some of these announced teams have been terrible so far in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Shots fired across the bow from our man Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hanging out with us.
It's bad when I'm like, man, when is Reggie Miller coming back on?
I only have 10 seconds, and then you got to say goodbye. Lakers and Rockets. Rockets win tonight or not?
Yeah, as long as Kevin Durant plays, I think they win. I think this is one of those series that'll be home and home.
All right, Robert Littal, Black Sports Online. Go check him out there. The founder joins us on the show every Friday. Thank you, my friend. Welcome back to the show. Good to have you with us on this Friday. Odds and Ends wraps it up 10 minutes from now. Notes from baseball, hockey, and more. But if it's a Friday on Sports Wrap, it can only mean one thing. This man is here. It's a NASCAR Friday with Tino Patino of SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Does the handicapping there, also on Tubi. Catch him on the weekends as well. Well, another week and another Tyler Reddick win. I saw them all holding up the 5. They were celebrating. I mean, it just, Tino, it's remarkable what he continues to do, this time winning in Kansas, holding off Kyle Larson to do it. Before we get into this weekend's race at Talladega, a thought from you on what Tyler Reddick just continues to do, and how's he doing it?
Fast cars. That's the easy answer. But it makes his life simpler. And I'll break it down like this, right? I'm on the show last week talking to you, and Kyle Larson was in the mix, Denny Hamlin. But I mentioned Tyler Reddick, so glad that we had mentioned him, because at a track like Kansas, you had to. But it just goes to show he was plus 900 before practice and qualifying. I saw that number, took it, and I was like, okay, this is great. This is great value for someone like Reddick. And yeah, he's going for his 5th win, and that's probably what made the books, think that's a hard feat to do. Fact, with him having 5 wins in the first 9 races, no one's done that since Dale Earnhardt. And he goes out and wins the pole. And that's what I mean, is like, you go out, you give him a fast car, raw speed right on as they unload on the track, and he goes out and showcases it in practice and qualifying. Then that 9-1 number turns into plus 450, 5-1 in some cases. So to me, it's like he's continuing to bring closing line value to the board. He's continuing to not only take a fast car from practice and qualifying, but bring it over to the race and capitalize when it matters most.
But I'm sure he's had great cars before. Why this year is it just equaling winning on such an epic level? I mean, you mentioned Dale Earnhardt. I mean,
yeah,
that's epic. That's epic level. That's top tier level. That is a level of greatness that we have not obviously seen in a long time. So why this year?
Well, that's just it. The team has now gone from good to great. And him specifically as a driver, he's now entering his prime. So another thing, too, is the mental fortitude of a race car driver. We did not see that to this level out of him and that team last year, whether it was pit road mistakes on him or the team, whether it was, just losing races because he was in his head in terms of things that happened previously and that he couldn't come back from, or it's just a different level of him to where he didn't dominate this race. Denny Hamlin did. But when the laps were closing down, what happened was the pit cycle. Him going into the pits later than Hamlin gave them just a little bit of a tire advantage. When you give Tyler Reddick now, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of the mental fortitude, any sort of advantage he can have like that, he's going to take it. He's going to run with it. He caught Denny Hamlin. Ultimately, he went to overtime as well, but he still put himself in position to get the job done, in which he didn't do. He took himself out of position last year. This year, they're putting themselves in position to win.
All right. Jack Link's 500 at Talladega this weekend. Austin Cindric, the winner here a year ago. He is 12-1. Third best odds along with Bubba Wallace. Joey Logano at 9-1. Ryan Blaney at 10-1, followed by Cindric and Wallace at 12-1. You got to go down down to 14-1 to find Tyler Reddick, who apparently still can't get the love that some of these other guys are getting for this week. Who do you like this week and why? It's such a crapshoot always at this track.
Yep, you said it perfectly there. 11 different winners in the last 11 Talladega races, which is now the most in history. The thing that I noticed, though, and who I'm looking out on is 2311, right? We just talked about them, and I would be remiss not to, because Tyler Reddick wins Daytona, Tyler Reddick wins Atlanta. Those are the only two super speedway races we've had thus far this season. Like, it makes sense to think, oh, he can't do it again, but no, they're finding ways to do it, and if it's not him, we look to Bubba Wallace to capitalize this weekend in a track that is one of his best. He's a great super speedway driver. You normally think of him over Tyler Reddick in this case scenario when we get to these types of racetracks, although Reddick has, like I said, 2 wins already there this season. The other thing I wanted to note was, in these last 11 Talladega wins for these drivers, Chase Briscoe, he's one of the top drivers right now. Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, as I mentioned. Brad Keselowski's going for his 7th Talladega win. Denny Hamlin. A few others in there, like Austin Cindric, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., are pristine Talladega super speedway drivers. Everyone else that I mentioned, though, are the class of the field, are arguably within the top 10 to top 15 drivers right now. Why I say that is, although this racetrack is so chaotic and big wrecks can happen, we're still seeing the best of the best win these races at a track like this, which I thought it's important to know. We used to think of Talladega as underdogs, long shots, 100-1 winners, and we're just not really seeing that anymore.
Pick me a winner and give me some other guys you like potentially on your tickets.
So I'm looking at a few guys with value. Brad Keselowski's one of them. He's 14-1. Hostvar's in the mix as well. Bubba Wallace, all these guys, Joey Logano, they're all 14-1 or higher, depending on where you can find them. To me, I think that's a good group to look at because these are guys that have been there late in the going. Bubba Wallace and Hostvar, for instance, at Atlanta, both first and second on going into overtime. Ultimately, neither of them were able to win that one, but they're continuing to be there at the end, and that's what I like to see. Drivers that can avoid the wrecks. Another guy, too, I'm looking out for, this one's a long shot, Eric Jones. He has 8 top 10s in the last 15 Talladega races. He's normally being there at the end, which you just need a chance to win these races in order to do so, and 35-1 for him to do it. I like those odds.
That's Tino Patino. Catch him this weekend on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, also on Tubi. Appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy the racing.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for another week. And for 10 days, really. We will be off next week. We'll have special sports wrap programming in our place all of next week. Sports Wrap weekends, don't forget that. 30-minute wrap-up show of everything we talked about during the week on many of these same affiliates. If not, check your local listing for time and schedule. It could be on another station within your market, so make sure to go and check that out. We have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. If you have not checked this out yet, please go and do so. Monday through Friday, TV version of the show in its audio form. Available for you wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast. Go and subscribe. It's fantastic. I promise it works just as well in its audio form. In fact, if you don't like this mug, it may even work better for you. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place for all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show there, commercial-free, 45 minutes waiting for you early each afternoon, many times available there on the YouTube channel before it's even available anywhere on television. But go and check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Extended conversations. Sports Wrap shorts are available there as well. These are Monday through Friday, weekends too, 1 to 3 minute long videos. News breaks, we jump in with Sports Wrap shorts. We also have game breakdowns. When big games happen, we jump in with Sports Wrap shorts. When news breaks, go to our YouTube channel for that. Sports Wrap shorts, also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram as well, Sports Wrap Jason Page. With all that said, on this Friday edition of the show, and without any further delay, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Could it be the end for Rob Thompson? It sure feels like it. The Phillies have lost 9 games in a row, much like the Mets lost 12 games in a row. They still held on to their manager. By the way, Mets have won 2 straight after another win last night. Congratulations to them. But for the Phillies, boy, oh boy, it is tough sledding right now. They fall yesterday to the Chicago Cubs, who look like a team that has been sort of reborn after a sluggish start to the season. They got the walk-off win yesterday, 8-7, thanks to Dansby Swanson knocking in the game-winning run. Look, the Phillies have given the vote of confidence to Rob Thompson, but they fired Joe Girardi a couple of years ago under very similar circumstances to what we're watching right now take place in Philadelphia. So to me, it is not a foregone conclusion that Rob Thompson is going to make it through this season, especially if this team continues to struggle the way that they have. Remains to be seen. There's a lot of frustrated guys on that roster. You hear, Bryce Harper saying how bad it sucks right now. And look, it's always darkest before the dawn. I still think there's a shot for the Phillies to turn this around. And again, with 3 wild card spots, somebody's got to get in the playoffs. Usually the cream will rise to the top. Guys will start playing to the back of their baseball cards. Throw your cliche out there. I still expect the Phillies to be a factor when we get to the second half of the season. All right, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs last night. Sabres rebound in a big way. They win in Boston 3-1, take a 2-1 series lead to regain control of that series. I still think that's a long series. I agree with our friend who joins us on the show every Thursday, Dennis Bernstein, who said he actually thinks Boston's going to win the series, but he did think it was going to be a series that goes into deep waters. I think that is the case. I will still take the Sabres to somehow win that series, but they are up 2-1. Hurricanes have just about put away the Senators with a 2-1 win last night in Ottawa, and you really feel, the Senators have made the playoffs 2 years in a row, and it looks like they're going to go out quickly in the first round in back-to-back years. Hurricanes get another close win. Every game's been close in that series, but the fact of the matter is Hurricanes just a little bit better and so good defensively. Avalanche doubled up the Kings last night 4-2, so that puts the Kings on the brink of elimination. Avalanche, obviously the best team during the regular season. They had a little bit of a lull in the middle where they played a lot of 500 hockey, but clearly finding their stride now, up 3-0 on the verge of putting away the LA Kings. Then there is golf, with Tiger Woods being in rehab and getting help overseas. He was supposed to be the Ryder Cup captain. Well, now that role, and it is a thankless job, goes to Jim Furyk. The longtime PGA Tour pro, Hall of Famer, a fantastic golfer who did amazing things in his career. I think he's still playing on the Champions Tour. Jim Furyk will take the job that Tiger Woods was supposed to take. And again, I say it's a thankless job because it really is. If you win, you're supposed to win, and great. And when you lose, everybody wants to, hang you from the gallows, so to speak. So, congratulations, Jim Furyk. You get the job. There aren't a lot of people mentally equipped to take it. Jim Furyk's one of those guys that sort of runs very even, and I think he'll do a good job with it. But ultimately, it boils down to the guys out there on the course. I mean, how much? I know everybody likes to blame the manager, blame the coach. In this case, blame the Ryder Cup captain. But in the end of the day, how much does it really matter? That's going to do it for us. Wraps up this week's edition of Sports Wrap. Again, on vacation next week. We'll see you back here the following week. Sports Wrap special programming next week. Sports Wrap presents. Thank you to Tino Patino for hanging out with us, Robert Littell, Sam Yarnell all week long, and you for watching. I'm Jason Page. That does it for this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. We'll see you back here over the weekend or next week for special editions of Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.